The story I am about to tell you is one that has been passed down through generations of my family. It is a true ghost story that takes place in the old family home where my great-great-grandparents lived over a century ago. It is a story that has left an indelible mark on my family, and one that I will never forget. The old family home was a beautiful, sprawling estate nestled in the heart of the countryside. It had been in my family for generations, and my great-great-grandparents had lived there for most of their lives. They were a happy, loving couple who had raised 6 children in that home, and it was filled with countless memories of their life together. But as they grew older, strange things began to happen in the house. It started with small things: objects moved on their own, doors would slam shut with no explanation, and strange noises could be heard throughout the house at all hours of the day and night. At first, my great-great-grandparents tried to brush it off as their imaginations playing tricks on them. But as the occurrences became more frequent and more intense, they began to realize that something else was at play. One night, my great-great-grandfather woke up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom. As he made his way down the hallway towards the bathroom, he saw a figure standing at the end of the hallway. It was a woman in a long white dress, her hair covering her face. He tried to call out to her, but she disappeared before he could say anything. From that night on, the ghostly figure became a regular occurrence in the house. She would appear in various rooms, at all times of the day and night. She never spoke or made any noise, but her presence was felt by everyone who lived in the house. My great-great-grandparents were convinced that the ghostly figure was the spirit of a woman who had lived in the house many years ago. According to family lore, she had been a maid who had fallen in love with one of the family members. When her feelings were not reciprocated, she had taken her own life in the house. Over time, the ghostly figure became a part of the family's daily life. They learned to live with her presence, even though it still frightened them at times. They would leave out a chair for her at family gatherings, and would often feel a chill in the room when she was present. But as the years went on, the family began to notice that the ghostly figure was becoming more agitated. She would appear more frequently and would often move objects around the house. They knew that something had to be done. One day, my great-great-grandfather decided to confront the ghostly figure. He sat in the living room, calling out to her and asking her to reveal herself. As he spoke, the room grew cold, and the ghostly figure appeared in front of him. To his surprise, the figure began to speak. She told him that she was not the maid who had taken her own life, but rather a member of the family who had died young. She had never been able to leave the house, and her spirit had become trapped there. She asked my great-great-grandfather for his help in finally allowing her to move on. He promised that he would do everything in his power to help her. Over the next few weeks, my great-great-grandfather worked tirelessly to rid the house of the ghostly figure's presence. He consulted with experts in the paranormal, and even held a séance in the house. Finally, after weeks of effort, the ghostly figure disappeared. The house was quiet once again, and the family was able to live there in peace. But they never forgot the haunting presence that had once filled their home. Years later, when my great-grandfather inherited the house, he was hesitant to move in. He had heard the stories of the ghostly figure from his parents and grandparents and was afraid of encountering her himself. But as he settled into the house, he found that it was a peaceful and welcoming place. He never encountered the ghostly figure himself, but he could feel her presence in the house from time to time. He knew that she was still there, watching over the family and the home that she had never been able to leave. As the years passed, the family continued to live in the house, passing it down from generation to generation. The ghostly figure became a beloved part of their family history, a reminder of the past and the spirits that can linger long after we are gone. To this day, the old family home still stands, filled with the memories of generations past. And although the ghostly figure is no longer present, her legacy lives on in the stories that are told and retold by my family. As for me, I have never lived in the old family home myself, but I have heard the stories from my parents and grandparents. And even though I have never seen the ghostly figure myself, I feel her presence whenever I visit the house. It is a haunting reminder of the past, and a reminder that the spirits of our ancestors can live on long after they have left this world.